All right, guys, so today we're going to check out the INEARZ Nirvana IEM. Now, if you're not familiar with the company INEARZ, they are from Orlando, Florida, and they really specialize in custom IEMs. They actually can get molds of your ears and make a pair that's specific to fit your ears and nobody else. But I actually went with the universal fit. I didn't send in a scan of my ear or anything like that. But it is nice that a company is out there trying to do that. Because if you're going to use IEMs, especially if you're a musician or somebody in a studio and you're gonna have to wear them like all day, or at least wear them while you're working, that's kind of important to have a pair that just fits and just kind of feels like it's in place and made specifically for you. Now, that also comes with a premium price tag. These come in at $14.99. That's just the standard price. But there's some other options and features and things that you can add to these that can bump up the price a little bit. Now, the $14.99 price tag is the one where you're getting those Adele modules. And we'll talk about that a little bit later and why that's important. But let's go ahead and start with what the word Nirvana means. So the word is a noun, and it basically means it's a state of perfect happiness or an ideal place. And I don't know about you, but when I'm listening to music, I really want to be in my happy place. I want to just kind of block out everything else out, and depending on what I'm going through, music just kind of gives me that escape. And I think the Nirvana word like perfectly describes that. So I know it may be cheesy, but I do see where this word is very fitting for what you're trying to do when you're listening to music. Now, the Nirvanas are considered INEARZ's flagship model. This is one that I think they've put the most into. And as far as drivers, you're getting 8 drivers total. You're getting all balanced armature drivers, which is strange. There's no dynamic drivers, but you're getting 4 that are dedicated to the low end. You're getting 2 that are dedicated to your mids, and then you're also getting 2 dedicated to the treble. So it really is trying to separate everything so that you can get the most out of your lows, your mids, and highs without just muddying up the sound, without making it sound congested, without just getting things mixed up. And they really do an excellent job with this, but we'll talk about that once we get to the sound. Now, their IEMs are all handcrafted. It's not just going down a conveyor belt. This is another thing that I think is also contributing to the little bit more steep of a price tag. Some other things is you can go in on their site if you're going to pick out a pair of IEMs and start to custom pick things, your colors, the body, the different modules, those Adele modules that I was talking about. They have like 4 or 5 different ones. They have one that's just your standard listening experience. They have one that's made to increase your spaciousness. They have one that's made to increase the bass. And then they also have one that's giving you better isolation. So, you know, it's not where all IEMs or earbuds are just made for everybody. If you just want more bass, this is something that you would check off. If it's something that you just like to have more space in your sound. I know a lot of people that prefer space, especially if you're going to be watching movies or gaming with your IEMs. This is a perfect match for that. So, you know, it just kind of depends on what you want, that it's going to cater to the listening experience that you have. Now, as far as what all actually comes inside the box, it does come with a nice little zippered case. It also comes with a hard case to hold some of your accessories like your ear tips. And speaking of the ear tips, you're getting 3 sets of silicone ear tips. You're also getting 3 sets of foam ear tips. You get a cleaning tool so that you can make sure that, you know, whatever ear tips you're using are always clean inside. This is very important. I think a lot of people kind of overlook this. The more you're using your earbuds or IEMs, you get wax and you get sweat and things that kind of block what is channeling music into your ears. So, you know, always make sure that your IEMs and your earbuds are clean. And then as far as the cable, mine came with the Elite Silver Series cable. It is braided, and it's also using the 2-pin connection. Now, as far as plugging into devices, it uses a normal 3.5mm plug-in, so it's pretty standard. And it is a little odd that it didn't come with a 1/4-inch adapter, because if you're going to use amps and you're going to use DACs, a lot of those have those 1/4-inch plug-ins, so you are going to have your own adapter if you plan on using them that way. Now, the IEMs themselves are very comfortable. It's all one solid piece. It's very lightweight. It's one that I could wear all day and I didn't really feel any discomfort at all. You can also see that you can see inside of the IEMs, you can see all of those balanced armature drivers. You can see that it's using that 3-way crossover system. And this is, again, how it ties all this in together and gives you the sound that you're getting out of these. Now, moving over to actually talking about the sound, I was really surprised here because on the website it says that it's made for audio audiophiles and it's made for musicians, which you can tell that it is, but it's not tuned in a snobby kind of way. It's not trying to come across as flat or reference style like a lot of other, audiophile grade IEMs. You can tell that they're still focused on giving you really punchy low end. There's a lot of focus here, and I actually think out of the box it has an overall pretty warm sound. And I'm not saying that it lacks in details, but you can tell that the bass is pretty prominent on these out of the box. Now what changes this is depending on what amp you use, what you can really use to push these. Although it's not required, these have an impedance level of 16 ohms, so you can just plug them into whatever you want. You're going to get plenty of volume out of them. I think you're going to have an overall really good listening experience. But to get the most out of these, and this is kind of the same thing with any wired IEM or wired headphone, I really just suggest an amp. And it doesn't have to be like this over-the-top amp. In fact, most of the time while I was using these, I was using the Moondrop Moon River 2 Ti, and the volume is extremely loud. But what the amp did was bring out so much details. It brought the treble to the point where it's almost harsh. It didn't quite get to the point where I was getting those sibilant sounds with the S's. It didn't cause ear fatigue. It wasn't, overwhelming in that aspect, but it found a way to bring out the treble to really just kind of balance out well with the low end that these already had on their own. And the amp just boosted the low end that much more, but the bass on these are tight. It's not sloppy. I don't want anybody thinking it's like that subwoofer type bass that's gonna come in and just roll over everything. That was not my experience with these. But what I think really stood out, now this is with an amp or without an amp, was how well vocals sound. The mids on these had so much characteristic in male and female vocalists. Acoustic guitars had this really nice natural tone to it, and that is what was nice to listen to. I mean, I listened to a lot of rock and a lot of metal, so having a really nice focus on guitars is very important, but also when I'm listening to something that's really chaotic, being able to still hear vocalists cleanly is also important. It's really common for bass to come in and just kind of close in sound on a lot of other earbuds and IEMs. I mean, that's definitely something I experience in a lot of the earbuds that I test, but everything in the Nirvanas sounds so well separated. It's almost like they're trying to pull the drummer and separate them completely from the guitarist and completely from the bass player. Everything has so much space and so much awareness of where everything is coming from, and it never feels like you're in this closed-in tight bubble. And that is kind of the goal with what I'm going for when I'm listening to music. I like to pick apart everything, but not in a way where it needs to sound flat. I want to know that I can hear the drums, but I also need to feel the drums. And same thing with guitars. I want to hear them. Being able to feel that distortion and that crunchiness in some guitars, a lot of other IEMs and earbuds just kind of fall flat on. But vocalist to me, in the end, is usually what's left alone. It's kind of middle of the road on a lot of other things, and it seems as though they wanted to push these just slightly forward. Now, they're not like where they seem right in front of your face. I don't think that's what they were trying to go for. I think that what they're trying to do was give you a nice, like, live, natural sound where it seems like you walk into the studio and the band is just playing around you. And I think they pull that off nicely. So it is definitely a pair that I recommend, especially if you're looking to really invest in some audio equipment. Again, if you are a producer, if you're a musician, these are definitely ideal for you. If you're just a normal consumer, you're not really a purist, you're not somebody that has to have everything separated and pick apart everything, this is definitely going to be priced well above what you're probably looking to spend. But for audiophiles that are always investing in equipment, this is a really intriguing pair, especially when in the end you can seem like it's made specifically for you. So if you're interested in checking these out, I will have them linked in the description. I'm hoping, because this company's in Orlando, that maybe one day I can visit their factory and just kind of see a behind the scenes on how they do their IEMs, how they build them, but also how they approach the custom designs that they do and the custom mold for different customers. I think that would be a pretty interesting video to do. But guys, that's my video on the INEARZ Nirvana IEMs. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.